Welcome to Talking Out Your Glass. I'm Sean Wagoner. In a heartbreakingly dark and beautiful panel depicting the Statue of Liberty afloat in a pond amongst lily pads, water grasses, and small frogs, Jesse Olwen reveals his inner sadness about the state of affairs in the U.S. and wider world today. Though the most recent, this is not the only one of his works to reference Memento Mori, a Latin phrase meaning, remember that you have to die. Olwen is a stained glass artist based in Montreal, working at the intersection of traditional craftsmanship and contemporary visual culture. His work reinterprets historic techniques through modern subject matter, exploring themes of memory, symbolism, and transformation. Through glass, he aims to create pieces that feel both timeless and culturally immediate. States Olwen, I don't know yet how my work can impact viewers on a large scale, but I do know that working with stained glass offers a unique way to express my message while also pushing the boundaries of the medium, which may be enough to hook some people. I want to show what stained glass can do and break it out of stereotypes that limit it. I want to show people that stained glass can exist in equal respect to other conventional artworks in a gallery or museum setting. Bouncing from one high school to the next, at 16, Olwen was strongly considering dropping out. A local stained glass artist offered him a bit of foiling work to help her prepare for the holiday craft season. This mentor ended up encouraging him to finish high school, college, and apply for an international exchange so he could see the world. After traveling and a long hiatus from art making, Olwen returned to Montreal to pursue glass in his own direction, a solitary path he is still navigating. Beyond basic copper foil techniques, he had no experience with glass painting and was feeling frustrated with the design limitations of the lead line. Someone gifted his mentor with a glass kiln that she passed along to Olwen, and eventually he found the courage to do his first set of tests and taught himself to paint on glass. Now, in an improved studio space, Olwen is perfecting his painting skills surrounded by tables and benches he built to his specific needs. He says, working with stained glass allows me to make art that is both physical and ephemeral, solid in its construction, yet constantly shifting with the light that passes through it. I am drawn to the paradox of permanence and fragility in this material. It can last centuries, yet remains vulnerable to the slightest fracture. That duality often mirrors the subjects I explore, the delicate equilibrium between beauty and decline, abundance and desolation. In recent years, Olwen's focus has turned toward two main directions: landscapes that hover between the real and the imagined, and Memento Mori style pieces that explore mortality. He approaches the landscapes not as faithful depictions of place, but as emotional and environmental reflections of a planet in flux. Each work is painted and assembled by hand. The glass is layered with paint and fired many times to achieve the highest quality glasswork. Olwen says, this work is a labor of love, and I believe working with glass is my life's purpose. Glass artists in 2025 have a responsibility to keep interest in this art form alive, and that can be done by testing the limits, breaking the rules, and drawing attention any way they can. Personally, I aim for a balance of paying respect to the traditional compositions, subjects, and techniques while portraying contemporary messaging. In this way, I feel like I'm wrapping new flesh on the bones of an ancient craft. Many thanks to the sponsors of this episode of Talking Out Your Glass: Sunshine Glassworks, the American Glass Guild, Glass Accessories International, Ed Hoy's International, the Stained Glass Association of America, and Yakagani Glass. To find out more about our sponsors, visit talkingoutyourglass.com, click on Episodes, Season 11, and Jesse Olwen. Jesse Olwen, thank you so much for joining me on Talking Out Your Glass podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Jesse, I wanted to start out by asking you about your early history. Like many people, I think you had some tumultuous times in your teen years, but you met a mentor, and I wanted to find out how that person and stained glass kind of gave your life direction.
Sure. Well, basically, it was all about timing and kind of luck. So I was hating high school. I was about to drop out of high school. And my mother happened to be working as a house painter at the time, and she was working in a house of a lady who did stained glass upstairs, and she's like a local craftsperson, so she would do craft fairs all throughout the year, and super super nice lady. And so my mom was like, hey, she was talking to this woman and telling her about her son who's having, problems. And she said, oh, we'll come, like, let him come upstairs and maybe I can give him a job and maybe that will, give him some direction. And that ended up changing my life because she sort of like encouraged me to keep going and finish high school, obviously. So I worked for her throughout high school. I paid for my own high school, and then she was like, just go ahead and do college. In Quebec, we have something called CEGEP. It's like college. So okay, fine. So I pursued that with, fine art, but I didn't like it either. And she was like, I don't know, keep going, keep going. So she just kind of like gently guided me, which is what I need, I guess, sort of like a gentle mentorship guidance, because otherwise I don't really know where I'd be right now. But I did end up even going to university. And so even though I really had problems with school, I finished university. And it's kind of like all thanks to her. So stained glass is something that I sort of connect to, that shaping and stuff. So it's now part of my life. So
Do you want to give her a shout out? What's her name?
Debbie. She doesn't need it, but she's kind of like, yeah.
Thank you,
she
Debbie.
knows. Yeah, thanks, Deb.
Well, beyond basic copper foil techniques, you had no experience with glass painting and you were feeling a little bit frustrated with the limitations of glass. What happened to turn that around?
Yeah, I found it extremely limiting, like not worth pursuing. When I worked with Deb, it was basically, making the same, like ornaments for craft fairs, So, and by the way, she's still making the same ones after 25 years. This was in 2001. And so, like, that really is a testament to her designs because they're still going and people are still buying them. And so, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't enough for me, like, to just work with the glass itself. So I focused on painting and sculpture and whatever else. So I just I've always been a creative person. I was just trying to get what I couldn't get out of glass in other ways. And I think it's a good idea to like really try to open up as much as possible your, different avenues that you can be creative in. Sometimes you have a project that that feels like it needs to come out as a painting, or sometimes, like you kind of like listen to what the idea is and it tells you what it should be, like should it be a painting or whatever. And so around 2018, someone gave her the kiln. And, oh no, maybe it was like a little earlier than that. And she was too afraid to use it because it's a scary machine and, afraid it's going to burn down your house. So it sat in her basement for like a year. And I didn't know about it. And then she gave it to me. And then I was too terrified to even touch it. So it sat in the basement of my apartment building for another year. And it's like this scary, terrifying machine because none of us knew how to use it, right? So it's like this like intimidating technology that like, I don't know, it was like, ooh, fire. I don't know, bad. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to try. So I set up this little thing in our basement. By the way, I'm the janitor of our apartment building. So that's what I've been doing for 11 years. I don't really want to do it anymore, but whatever. This is what it is. In the basement, on my storage locker or like the janitor's closet, I set up like a makeshift kiln space because it was like surrounded by stone and bricks. Nothing's going to catch on fire. Every time I used it, I had to balance that out, and no one knows about this. So I had it connected, but if it went on to the full cycle, the lights would turn off in the basement or flicker. So I had to find I had to calculate the science of which light bulbs can I unscrew in order to make the kiln work for an hour, and then come downstairs and screw them back on. So people just in the building, I guess, thought that we had continuing power problems, like electrical was bad in our building. It is a 100-year-old building, but no one knows. Maybe this is looking at the secret that's being revealed.
Your secret's out.
Yeah. So I would go down and turn off light bulbs, and then or unscrew them. And, but anyways, eventually I ended up, once the pandemic, so I started like just tinkering then. I didn't take any classes. I didn't buy any like things online. Like I didn't do anything that you're supposed to do. I didn't educate myself. Like I didn't do anything right. I kind of figured out online what are the basics of stained glass painting. And the idea of like removing paint was really interesting to me. So I got the whole concept and I got the firing schedule, and it was just sort of like messing around. Like, oh, you find out quickly how too hot, if you make it too hot, what happens to the pigments, what happens to the glass. You figure out quickly what glass changes in the kiln. You figure out quickly if it's not hot enough. It's just trial and error, right? So basically that's kind of how I learned how to paint on glass. It's just kind of messing. Oh, can you swear on this podcast?
You can.
Great. So I was just fucking around in the basement, and that's kind of where I got my skills. And eventually I thought I want to move up out of the basement one day. And what happened was, during the pandemic, somebody moved out next to my apartment, and I'm like, I'm gonna rent that apartment. So my studio, this is the bedroom of the apartment next door to where I live, and it's very convenient. So I can just kind of go across the hall and go to work. But yeah, so now my kiln is it's in here in the kitchen where the stove is supposed to go.
So were there specific books or videos or classes that you relied upon to teach yourself how to paint on glass?
No, but I did do a little workshop in 2019, actually, just before the pandemic happened. With the AGG, I got a little scholarship to go and do a few days, I think it's a few days, with Deborah Coombs in Vermont, another Deb. Debbies are very influential in my life.
They are. They're important to you.
When a Debbie comes, I just listen to whatever a Debbie says. So, which was great because Deborah's fantastic, but I got to sort of like work out, like hone the firing schedule, and she uses propylene glycol in her work, right. And now I do too. So that's kind of what I gathered from that, was just sort of, I don't do it the way she does it, but introducing it into my painting really helped a lot. Again, I just mix it on the spot, but she has a whole science to it with like slaking it and ratios, and I just mix it on the spot. But I'm very grateful to have had that experience because it changed the consistency of the paint, and that makes me a better painter. So,
thank you, AGG.
Yes, thank you, AGG.
We'll return to Jesse Olwen in just a moment. This episode of Talking Out Your Glass is sponsored by Sunshine Glassworks. Sunshine Glassworks has been supplying materials to the art glass community since 1979. Whether you are an avid hobbyist or commercial studio, you will find the glass and supplies you need, served with knowledgeable support and efficient shipping. Sunshine stocks a broad range of paints, stains, and enamels from Rouchet, as well as FuseMaster enamels. Visit sunshineglass.com for complete information. This episode is sponsored by the American Glass Guild, a nonprofit organization whose core mission is to work toward building an environment within the craft that both cultivates novices and facilitates experienced craftspeople and artisans to attain a higher level of expertise. AGG is an inclusive organization that actively seeks the participation of all people with an interest in decorative glass, its creation, preservation, and restoration. Their annual conference is a great way to receive education, make connections, and see the latest in the art glass world. Visit AmericanGlassGuild.org for more information. This episode of Talking Out Your Glass is sponsored by Toyo Super Cutters, preferred by glass artists worldwide. Toyo is distributed by Glass Accessories International on the web at glassaccessories.com, where you can check out the entire line of professional quality Toyo glass cutters. Find your long-lasting cutter in a color and handle style that meets your needs at an authorized Toyo dealer. Now on Instagram at Toyo Super Cutters. And now, we return to Jesse Olwen. Well, after traveling and a long hiatus from glass, you returned to Montreal to pursue glass. When did you found your studio, Hemlock Glass, and describe it and your business?
So my wife and I met her abroad, and then we got married abroad too. And one of her dreams was to go to university, which was kind of like an unattainable thing for her because I'm Canadian, so university here has been really accessible and cheap. And I don't know, it was kind of like sad that she always wanted to go to university. Like, she's a good student. Like, opposites attract, because not at all my thing. I reluctantly went to school, and it was her dream. So I said, well, we can come back to Montreal and figure it out, permanent residency. So that's why we came back here, was so that she can study Hemlock.
What does she study?
Psychology.
Psychology. That'll be helpful to you when you're figuring out themes for your new work.
That's one interpretation. My entire family is completely insane as well, so there's a lot of material to work with. Yeah. I'm an interesting case study. The Hemlock thing is, my family, we had some acreage, like a farm in Ontario. And so growing up there in the summers, I was surrounded by this stuff called poison hemlock. And so that's why I used the name Hemlock, because it kind of ties back to my childhood. It's also a plant that is dangerous. It can really hurt you if you touch it. So you should be very careful when you're handling it. So it's just sort of like the glass that I'm using. It's sort of like a fragile thing, and it's also dangerous at the same time.
And also the content of your work is beautiful, but a little bit dark. So it kind of ties nicely into that as well.
Thanks.
Tell me a little bit about the business. How much is residential? How much is commercial? How much is personal?
I don't know. I don't really keep track of that. Where I'm at right now is I take commissions, but I don't care about that. I don't care about anything anymore. Where I'm at right now is life is short, and I just want to make what I want to make. And I'm not pursuing contracts, or I don't have a name out there. Maybe things will change, but for me right now, I'm just interested in doing what I want to do. I'm not thinking about it. Do I have any sort of business strategy or plan? No, I'm an artist. I'm very bad at this. So I'm just sort of I'm just focusing on the things that I want to say right now, like the projects that are in my brain, and it's just really more of a, I don't want to say hobby, but it's sort of just personal projects that come to me, and then I put them online, and some people maybe want to buy them. That's just
Is that your primary way of selling work, is through Instagram or Facebook, or how do you have galleries?
Yeah, I'm really bad at this. I don't have any great ways to sell artwork. I put it online and people message me, and that's kind of it. Do I want to be in a gallery? Yeah, that's my dream, is to be is to be scooped up somewhere and have a show. I've never had a full exhibition, so that's my current, one of my dreams is to have an exhibition. That would be great. I just kind of apply to when things are open and obvious to me, but I'm really bad at finding customers, I guess.
Is there a stained glass
and answering podcast questions?
You're doing pretty good at that. Is there a stained glass scene in Montreal?
Is there a stained glass scene? I would say Yes, that there is definitely, but I'm not really super connected to it because I don't really get out much. I have a 4-year-old, so that's kind of my life. I just kind of hang out with him and hang out in here, and whenever I have free time, it's just those two things. But I do think that the interest is there because we have a few shops in Montreal that are doing pretty well, and they seem to be pretty busy. But Montreal and Quebec, we have like a really rich culture with stained glass. Like we just have so many churches that are like littered all around Montreal, and they're beautiful. But to answer you best, I think that for me, one of the most beautiful churches I've been to. I'm not religious or anything, but there's a lot of amazing craftsmanship in churches that I appreciate. So there's one church in particular that really just kind of like changed my life and blew me away, which was, I think it's called Saint Léon de Westmount, and it's in Westmount. It's in Montreal, and I might be totally getting the name wrong, but I think the guy's name is Guido Nincheri or Nincheri. Um, and these windows are just so rich and amazingly executed, and they're traditional stained glass, Adam and Eve and other, religious iconography. But the way it's done is just so beautiful that those are probably the most inspirational windows that I've seen in person. I've never been to Europe, of course. There's lots of stuff there to see, but in Montreal, we do have some pretty great stained glass to look at. So I think that the interest is there in here.
So tell us about your travels. I know that you did some traveling and you have experiences as varied as apprenticing in a South Korean tattoo studio. What was that like? And how did that impact your aesthetic?
I didn't actually get to tattoo anything when I was there. I was working as a English teacher for a couple of years in South Korea. And I don't know. I was trying to figure out what career I was going to pick up. Like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And I thought tattoos would be a pretty good, pretty good choice because it satisfies all of my needs and interests as an artist. So I thought, and I actually find that stained glass and tattoos are very much connected in a way. They're like sister crafts, in my opinion. So I was the culture is different there. So it's more like you observe. So I would spend my weekends at this tattoo studio, just standing there watching and observing some guy tattoo some other guy, and that was it for like a whole entire year. But the process and the sort of like ritual of preparing for a tattoo, the whole process was something I really, really loved. Like there's a sort of like deep respect for everything that you're doing, or at least in this one studio. It's just sort of like you treat the workspace with respect and love. So you come in and then you treat every part of the process. There's a lot of steps in tattooing. There's a lot of steps in stained glass, and you treat it like with the respect that the craft really deserves. So you do everything orderly, and you take the time, and you appreciate every part of it. And so that's sort of what I apply to how I make stained glass. There's the end product, which is great, but that's not why I do stained glass. It's the whole thing. It's the drawing it out, the painting it, the cutting it, the foil, even the foiling it. I think people have problems with foiling, but I love it. And soldering, the whole thing, just like being involved with your hands the whole time, step by step by step by step, all the way to the finish. So yeah, that apprenticeship taught me that it's not just making the tattoo, it's the whole thing. And so that's what I brought back to my practice.
You also paint on canvases and move between stained glass and abstract acrylics. Talk about that a little bit, about how you move between those two mediums.
Not anymore. I'm retired. I don't do that anymore. I have stopped. I've completely focused on glass now. I've seen other people execute my desires and interests in painting much better than I can do. And that's fine. It's not like I'm giving up. It's just sort of like, okay, I've seen other people do this. And making a painting for me is, no, it's not as satisfying. Like I said, you can make a painting in an hour if you want to. Stained glass can take a month or a year to do. And so I just love that so much more. It takes longer. The process is more appealing to me than painting. So I don't do it anymore.
Jesse, you've struggled with health anxiety since you were a teenager, suffering from an intense fear of illness and death. Is this the basis for your aesthetic concepts, or what inspires your designs?
Yeah, I'm trying to confront that more now. The darker themes in my work recently have been really connected to the past few years that I've been struggling with it the most. It's something I've had to deal with since I was about 16, but I didn't really know that it was affecting me until kind of recently. I've been having to do a lot of hard work. By hard work, I mean like therapy, and also like years of torment, like until I got therapy. Not that the therapy really helped much, but it did help me sort of figure out what was going on, like patterns of what was going on. So basically, my whole thing is, when something enters my life and stresses me out, suddenly, at the same time, coincidentally, I don't know, my leg is hurting in a way, and then I fixate on that, and then I'm pretty sure I'm dying from this thing, and so then my whole world is rather than dealing with this stressful new thing in my life, I'm now focusing on this body part, and I'm getting all worked up about it. It's a way for me to not deal with this other problem. And now I have because the fear of dying is so all consuming that I can't possibly focus on whatever this other thing is, because now my leg is killing me. So it sounds ridiculous, but it is debilitating.
What do you think has caused it?
When I was about 16, I got mono, and the doctors pretty much said, well, if he gets better, it was mono. If he doesn't get better, it's probably leukemia. And so that was kind of bad medical practice, but also changed my life forever, because I had to just sort of wait to find out if I was going to die or not. At 16, I was like praying, like, I mean, I'm not religious, but like begging the universe to like give me another chance at life. Like, I will just give me more time, and I will do the best. I was just like making deals and like with whatever, the cosmic whatever. And so that affected me so deeply that now, basically, when something happens, I go right back to that emergency, like worst case scenario, like high alert, like all my alarms are going off. So I just go right back to that moment of that. So maybe I'm not explaining it very well, but
you are.
It's very much connected to a lot of I'm doing better now. Basically, like the imagery of skulls and stuff like that. I'm actually very, very squeamish when it comes to bones and guts and blood and anything to do with the body. Just kind of not anything to do with the body, but like, you know, gory stuff just freaks me out. I can't handle it. So in a way, I'm trying to confront these like mortality by becoming more familiar with it, and also just sort of using not familiar with it, but sort of like having to study the skull, having to study bones, and bring that into my work. It kind of like helps me not be so afraid of death and dying, and it's of mortality, basically. So yeah, just trying to use my artwork to sort of cope with the fact that we all go and time is short, and you should make the most of it.
We'll return to Jesse Olwen in just a moment. This episode of Talking Out Your Glass is sponsored by Ed Hoy's International, the single source for all your art glass needs, serving all levels of customers from retail to wholesale. The company offers an expansive selection of sheet glass, tools, classes, and supplies from all major suppliers, including Bullseye, Wismont, Kokomo, Yakagani, and Oceanside Glass. For more information, visit edhoy.com. This episode is sponsored by the Stained Glass Association of America. Since 1903, the Stained Glass Association of America has cultivated a growing community of members across the U.S. who share a passion for art glass. Whether you've recently discovered the beauty of leaded, stained, or ornamental glass, or you've been practicing the craft for a lifetime, SGAA welcomes you to join the oldest and most vibrant membership organization dedicated to the illumination of stained glass. Learn more and become a member or subscribe at stainedglass.org. This episode is sponsored by Yakagani Glass, manufacturer of the world's finest art glass, celebrating their 50th anniversary in 2026. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram to be the first to hear about their limited edition anniversary glass products and celebrations planned throughout the year, beginning with the formulation of their new gold pink replacement color. Tristan and Leanne would like to express their immense gratitude to the art glass community for their support and patronage throughout the years. Thank you from the crew at Yakagani Glass. To learn more, visit yakaganiglass.com. And now, we return to Jesse Olwen. So when and why did you create your work Memento Mori, and tell us about the work?
That was actually a commissioned piece, though it's kind of like the beginning of a series of artworks that I want to make that are referencing the Vanitas Memento Mori style paintings. So it's like old oil paintings that have like dead pheasants and little timepieces and stuff like that. That are really rich in symbolism. So the idea of taking sort of a common theme in painting and art and bringing it into this medium, mixing two old things, so stained glass and old paintings, kind of like makes a new thing. I find that kind of fascinating, and it's kind of fun to work with heavy symbolism. So in that piece actually is all about symbolism. It was commissioned from a wife to a husband. All of the things in it are important to him. So there's so she fed me all of this information about him, which was great because then I got to put it all together. And so you just look at it and you can't tell, but it's totally tailored and it's like a recipe just for this one guy. Like, he loves these old paintings. And so she wanted to commission something in that style, first of all, with the skull. He's obsessed with skulls. Then there's like Dungeons and Dragons die that are in there. So I borrowed some from my downstairs neighbor and I photographed everything all together. The bird for him is really important, but I can't remember why at the moment. Something about...
I think it's a raven, isn't it?
Yes, but I can't remember why it was important to him. Anyways, the wine bottle, for example, has a label on it that says L'appel de vide, or the call of the void. And so I came up with that's an expression that he likes. So it's something that connects with this one guy. So it's sort of like the call of the void or that expression is when you're like standing on a bridge and you have this intense desire to just throw yourself off of it. So, and he also he does winemaking with his son or something like that. That's why it's on a wine bottle. And then the books have, like, the spines of the books are things that he studied or it works in, like engineering and mathematics and all that stuff. And then the painting in the background, or that's on the right side of the painting, is his favorite artwork, which has like a guy. It's an old etching, so it's a guy, I think, opening up the curtain between day and night or something like that. Anyway, my point is I tried to make something that used all this information of this from this one person and make it into a Memento Mori style piece. So in a way, it's sort of like a snapshot of this man's like core interests and life.
What year did you make that, Jesse?
Oh, I think I made it last year. I yeah, because I remember having a shipping issue and the tariffs were happening, so it was a big box to send. Yeah, it was definitely last year.
So your client was in the US?
Yeah, most of them are, which is a little inconvenient with the border. But yeah.
So you talked a little bit about your medium. Tell us about your painting process and some of the tools that you use to create your work.
Well, I sort of start with the idea. So sometimes that can happen really quick. I can get an idea and make it right away, or it can take a really long time. So some projects, I just got to get them out of my head right away, and others can take like 5 years to figure out and make happen. So I have this baseball hat that I made, and it's not very practical or anything like that. It doesn't represent my work in any way, but it did take me like 5 years to figure out how or why or what. I made a mold. I had to figure out how to do that, and how heavy it was going to be. I have no idea. It took a long
It's a glass
time
baseball
to make.
hat?
Yeah,
It's made of
it's
glass?
a stained glass. Yeah,
Wow.
so it's the shape of a baseball
You
hat.
didn't say
but
that part.
it-
You just said a baseball cap.
oh yeah, no, sorry. It's a stained glass baseball hat.
Okay.
So it's like a Tiffany lamp, but it's the shape of a baseball hat. I don't know. Does anyone want this? No, no one wants this. But I just had to make it, so I just made it. This thing I'm working on right now in the background here, this took over a year from concept to me making it now. Sometimes, I mean, that's the hardest part. It's just really refining the project in your mind and letting it just come to life on its own in the background. Once that happens, I come up with a design, and then I find a way to make
Is
like a cartoon of it.
does
Yeah,
that process happen on a computer or by hand? Your designs.
it happens both. I use a lot of like reference images, so sometimes I'm just taking them off the internet. Sometimes I'm taking pictures of things, and then yeah, so then that gets transferred basically into a pattern. So now I started printing them out, but before I was projecting them onto like a piece of paper and then making the lines as I go. But now I'm printing. I'm getting them printed out, and it sounds like really fancy, but it's just sort of like a photoshopped picture that's then blown up, and then I add lines to it, and then make a pattern from that. I don't use a Cricut or anything like this. I use like carbon paper and like another paper behind it. Um, After that, I'm just doing the regular process of cutting, grinding, painting, and foil.
Do you ever work with lead, or are all your works copper foiled?
I have a personal preference for copper foil. I know that there are some purists out there who will say, oh, like only true artworks are made with the lead, but it doesn't do anything for me. I like copper foil. I like foiling. I like the lines that it creates. That's just my thing.
So describe and discuss your astronaut panel, and does that work have a title?
The title I have for it is called Beyond or Before, but that's kind of a not great title. I'm open to suggestions if people want to
I love
suggest.
that. I love that title. That's
Okay.
amazing.
So yes, that piece for me is probably my most successful thing that I've ever made.
What
Try to
basically what I'm wondering is, what does the image represent to you? It's a really amazing and interesting image, because I think it could mean so many different great things to think about.
Yeah, well, I want to know actually what other people think about it. But I for me there's two things with that one. There's the personal struggle that I had while making it, a technical personal struggle, and there's the completed image. So those are two totally different things that I feel are successful in that piece. So I redid the painting of all of the astronaut suit because I wasn't happy with it. So there's that. And there's also the starry sky. I had to sort of figure out how to do that. I mean, I just let it marinate in my mind about like how am I gonna even. So that took a couple months for me to just not do anything, just think about it and then make it. But then once I started doing the suit, the folds and the texture, nothing was working for me. I did the whole thing and I hated it. And so I threw all of the pieces in the garbage and I did it all over again. So that was kind of an exercise in me just being a real critical, like beating myself up. Like as I'm making it, I'm like, oh, this isn't right. I don't know. So I just, I wanted to do it as best as I can do it. So I threw everything away, started over again, and then I was happy with it. So that whole exercise for me was a really valuable experience. And then what does it mean? Well, as I mentioned before, like the mortality, confronting mortality. I mean, it's very clear. Holding a skull up and looking right at it is very clearly me confronting my mortality on a personal, like what is it about me that I get out of it is that's it. I'm holding myself up. I made this at a time where I was really at my depths of my, illness, anxiety. So holding it up and looking right at it, like, deal with this. But, and the reflection in the glass sort of like is a symbolic, it's self-reflection. But on another level, someone who's not me might look at it and think, well, you don't know who's in the suit. You don't know if it's a male or a female or if it's even a human at all, or if it's a robot. You don't know. You don't have any information about the identity of who's in the suit. So that makes it kind of anonymous, but it also makes it kind of mysterious. And you don't know about time. Like, when is this happening? Did it happen before, or is it happening in the distant future? Is it Earth? Where is this? I don't know. So for me, an artwork that makes somebody ask questions about it is a success. And so I'm hoping other people ask questions or feel that way about it. But for me, on my personal level, I feel like it succeeds most efficiently as one of my artworks. So,
what year did you make that, Jesse?
I think I made that in 2024, at the end of 2024.
Well, skulls have kind of become important cultural symbols currently, and I wonder what you think about why is that? Why do we see so many skulls in clothing and decorations and just tattoos? Everything has skulls now. Is everyone, do you think, kind of struggling with or contemplating mortality on some level?
I have no idea. I can't speak to that. There's so much exposure now. It's skulls and bones, and there's part of our there's Halloween is really big, horror movies, even in cartoons, like skeletons and stuff are more kid friendly now, even, so they're not so scary for kids. So we're just constantly. It's a great question. I'm not sure why everyone else is interested, but I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, when my son was about 5, a lot of his clothing had skulls on it, and that's what he always picked out. He liked black stuff with skulls. But I remember that it was very upsetting for my dad, who is obviously a different generation. He was like, you shouldn't let your little child wear skulls around. That's so weird and it's so dark. I tried to figure out a way to tell him it's not abnormal at all or out of the cultural norm. That's just skulls are just a part of the modern aesthetic at this point in time. So I couldn't explain it to him either.
Your son sounds really cool. I think it's also just everyone's different. I don't know. For me, like when I was 5, I was just covered in Ninja Turtles, so I'm not skulls at all. That's not something that's been with me my whole life. But your son sounds like a pretty good hang. Like he sounds pretty cool.
I think you guys would get along, Jesse. Of course, he's 27 now, so that might be just your age. How old are you?
41.
Are you? Oh my gosh, I would never know that, Jesse. You look amazing.
Thanks.
What's your
Oh,
secret?
no, I can't. Sorry, I can't handle compliments. So let's. We will move on to the next
Okay, we'll
question.
move on. I'll get your secrets post interview. Well, as you know, I recently posted a video of yours that featured a bunch of different images of your work, and I think you talking a little bit about your work on Instagram and Facebook to this huge response. I mean, I think I got 2,000 new followers on Facebook from your video and
God,
tons of
okay.
hundreds of comments. I think I tagged you on that because I wanted you to see how many people were just amazed and interested and really psyched by your work. And I just wonder, do you have a sense of what you're tapping into?
No, I have, I don't know. For me, I just sort of like made a video and it went a little viral. And, even for me too, like that one video, it really helped me as well. I actually gained like 22,000 followers from that.
Wow.
And yeah, I don't have any secrets because I feel like I've been just doing the same thing for like 7 years. It's just kind of how it goes, you know. Sometimes you make something and you're like, wow, people are gonna love this, and then nothing. And then the only thing I added to that video that was new was just me just sipping some coffee in the beginning of that video, and then
Right.
boom, it exploded. I don't know. I have no secrets. I have no information about how it became viral. Sometimes it just happens.
Maybe it helped the viewer connect to the maker. And so they responded more because they saw you and you're the person that's creating these awesome works. And also, I think it was really helpful the pieces that you put together. You could see this wide range of what you have been making, and they're all super interesting and super cool works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to find a way that I could share my art really quickly. And so just sort of jamming it all together for like 20 seconds. I guess that's the secret. It might
Well,
not happen ever again, but it worked that one time, and so I'm grateful for it.
I think it'll happen again. Well, I wanted to ask you, were your panels called Dance Left and Dance Right? Are those a departure, an intentional departure for you from darker subjects, or where did those ideas come from?
Right. So it's interesting that you see it that way. So I've actually changed the title on those again because titles are not really my thing. But now what I'm titling them are Dance Now Before the Cats Catch Your Scent. So it's sort of about,
It is a little bit
like,
dark.
yeah.
It does have a darkness to it.
There's an old painting that I saw online that really, I don't know, I really liked it. It's called Dance of the Rats, and I might be saying this name wrong, but Ferdinand von Kessel. It's like a 150-year-old painting, and I think it might be just a detail of part of this painting, but it's just these rats dancing. And for me, it ties into this next piece that I'm working on in a way, kind of. But it's not a joyful thing for me. It's the rats are sort of us. Again, maybe I'm saying this wrong. Where I'm coming from is sort of like, we are, like, this is not a big political statement that I'm trying to make, but I just sort of, there's two different, I feel like there's billionaires and then there's everyone else at this moment. And we are basically like the rats that are just kind of left to, eat the crumbs and deal with what we can in this moment. Sort of like just trying to make the best of what we got, which is just ourselves and the time that we have. And so the dancing rats just sort of like is just sort of like having fun. Oh,
Before we get
I
eaten?
think I'm not. Yeah, kind of. It's also like surveillance as well is sort of like something else I wanted to say about it was, we can have our fun now, but we are pretty much just just rats, and we're part of a game that we're not in control of. And so just have your fun now, I guess, before.
Celebrate life while you still have it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about what's coming up for you in 2026. I know you're working on a new piece that features the Statue of Liberty.
Yes, that one is. I'm feeling like I'm putting lots of good energy into this one. It's taken me over a year to create, and I've only started working on it really in the past few weeks, but I started thinking about it a year ago. My wife posed for it in a friend's pool, actually in Deborah's pool. So we got her dressed up we went to a thrift store and we got some sort of like makeshift stuff to make her kind of look like the Statue of Liberty. And so I got her to pose. I took pictures of her in a pool floating. The theme is, it's referencing this old painting called Ophelia. So I just want people to sort of put the pieces together here. So she's kind of about to sort of possibly drown in this water, and the background, the water is green, so it's kind of not really like the best water. It's sort of like swampy, right? And so to get right to the point of it, to like hit people over the head with the stick, is that she's kind of like just depicting her drowning in the swamp that they promised to drain. So that's the super direct summary of that piece that I'm working on. So having my wife pose for it, she's also American, so I feel like it fits. And, there's lots of things in it that, a piece will probably be done by the time that this comes out, or I hope. So there's little things like there's frogs in the corner that sort of represent us just sort of helplessly watching this happen. Like, what can you do? Like, I'm a frog. I'm not an important player here. There's some flowers also in the background that just sort of represent that there is beauty in this, and the fleeting that fleeting beauty as well, because flowers bloom and die. And her, most importantly for me, is that her torch is extinguished. So she is not a beacon of. Now listen, I'm not trying to. I love America and I love Americans. I'm married to an American. I feel like I'm on the outside and I can't really do much. And I feel like a lot of Americans feel that way too on the inside. It's just sort of like this thing that's happening, and it's difficult to see, and it's so tragic and sad, and it's a political piece, but I really don't want it to be mistaken that I'm being critical. Like, it's made with love and thought, and I like lots of thought. Like I thought about it for a year. How can I make something that sort of it's not over, in the picture she's not dead. There's still hope. She can just still be scooped up. It can still be okay. So that's what I'm trying to do with this piece. I hope that people see it that way. I'm not trying to attract negativity. It's made from a place of love, like really, and sadness. And I'm hoping that things get back. But again, I'm an artist. I live in a different country. What can I do? Like, what can you do is you can make an artwork about it. And that's the maximum impact I can have, is just this. So, yeah, it's we don't have to talk about politics, but sometimes it's better just to see the image but if you're here, it's because you want to know what I think about it. So that's where it's coming from. I hope it turns out okay. You don't really know until it's all put together.
I've seen some pictures of the in-progress shots. It looks amazing. Can't wait to see it finished. Yeah.
And another part of it is that the energy that's going into it is like that this may be my final piece. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's like every day I'm just overwhelmed with. This doesn't help my anxiety either, by the way. We're all just slammed all the time with World War III nukes. Like, it's constant, and it's been like this for ever. Like for the past 10 years, it's just been nonstop dooming all the time. And like, um, man, it really affects me. It affects everybody. And so when I'm thinking, I mean, things are just escalating right now. And so as I'm making this piece, I am kind of just, I'm not, I don't know what's going to happen, but I am hoping that I'm able to finish it. You know, that sounds really dark, but I'm just sort of like, as I'm making it, I'm conscious everything that I'm doing. I'm like, this has to be good because this might be my last thing. So I'm really trying to do this one really well because it means a lot to me on a personal level. So I'm really paying attention to every piece, every brushstroke, and everything that I do with it. And yeah, I mean, who knows? It's also kind of how I live my life. It's just sort of like don't know what's going to happen. So you just got to appreciate the time that you have and what you can do with every day. Like, you know, make every day important to you, appreciate it, and just do the best that you can do for yourself. No one else is judging you or caring about what you're doing. And so that's what I'm trying to put into this piece is that I hope that the world doesn't end, but it might. And I want to just finish this one last thing.
But I guess, really we could say that every day. And it probably is a good attitude to have when you're making something to think this might be the last thing I make. So I want it to be amazing. And so putting that kind of energy into every work you make isn't necessarily a bad thing.
To tie it back, like to when I was 16 and when I made deals with, let's say, God, that was like one of the most foundational moments for me. It was because I really, at the end of every day, I always ask my wife and my son like for what their highlight moment was. I just sort of ask them, I mean, maybe my wife thinks I'm insane or annoyed by this, but it doesn't matter. I always try to find like what was the best, what was not the best thing, but like what's the thing that sticks out to you that day? Like what's the moment that's your highlight moment today? It could be anything. And so at least that way I try to find, well, actually this kind of goes back to my grandmother and my name, the meaning of my last name. So my grandmother's name was Olwen. That was her first name. And I was very close with my grandmother. And then she had a stroke when I was about 10 or so. And then she was just in the hospital for like 7 years. It was really sad. And then she passed away. And then I got sick at around the same time. And that death really affected me. And I learned then to appreciate every single day that you have, because you don't know. Something might just happen to you. You might just end up in the hospital. You might get hit by a car. A bomb might fall on you. Who knows? You only have the day that you're living right now that you know of, right? And so that's why I use the name Olwen. It's sort of it's not my real last name, but it's sort of in memory of that, of like, not specifically to her, but sort of just that you should appreciate the time that you have. And so Olwen represents like, if you have, for me, it's sort of like, get the projects that you want to do, work on them. Don't miss things. Just, don't let things pass. Take advantage of the time that you have and the energy that you have and the moments that you have. And so, yeah, I try to appreciate what I got.
Well, Jesse, it's so nice to see contemporary messaging in stained glass. It's such a great combination. I wanted to ask you about a quote of yours. You said, glass artists in 2025 have a responsibility to keep interest in this art form alive, and that can be done by testing the limits, breaking the rules, and drawing attention any way you can. Personally, I aim for a balance of paying respect to the traditional compositions, subjects, and techniques while portraying contemporary messaging. In this way, I feel like I'm wrapping new flesh on the bones of an ancient craft. Talk about the goals you have for your work coming up.
Well, broadly speaking, I think that's a good philosophy for people entering the craft now to keep it sort of spicy or interesting, or really any craft, I guess, is find a way that you haven't seen it done before and just try to do it that way. And they'll explore that as much as possible. The worst thing that can happen is you make a project that doesn't work, or you end up with a baseball hat that's made out of stained glass you can't do anything with. So it's just sort of like make mistakes and just do weird things. Do the weirdest thing that you can come up with and see how it turns out. It's stained glass. Like, you can do anything. Do anything then. If you can do anything, do anything. Do your thing, whatever that is. And so this is my thing, and I'm not done yet. I'm still figuring it out. I am not perfectly finished yet. I have a lot of ideas coming up. I have a lot of projects, a lot of different projects too. So I don't know. I'm not at my final stage yet, even though I just said I'm worried about, this being my final thing. But projects that I have upcoming, that's another thing. Is sort of like, I feel like if you speak it, it can kind of not happen. If you speak it, sometimes you can lose it. Someone can scoop it up, or maybe something will happen where it won't work out. I'm superstitious in that weird way. But some upcoming projects that I do have, I have a series of landscapes that I want to keep exploring. So I've made like one that worked, but I want to do a whole bunch of bigger landscapes. Another thing is I want to do a series of like punks, like gutter punks, from like when I was in the 90s, like in my high school years. Like I was not part of the punk scene exactly, but I would try to be, and I had a mohawk for like 5 years, so I have like a fascination and an interest with that punk culture, and I think that would translate really well in stained glass. Like, it would be an interesting contrast, and there's a lot you can say, and there's a lot a lot of symbolism that I'm planning to put in, like what's on t-shirts, and like the hairstyles look cool and stuff like that, but I'm also interested in sneaking in some imagery in the background that says, some stuff that's a little, things that you can say in the background, like graffiti, that I wouldn't normally just say. So things like that, I want to do a few of those coming up. But I do have some other big projects. I'm a little too scared to talk about them right now.
Well, Jesse, I wanted to know if you could turn your favorite movie, book, or song into a stained glass window, which one would it be and why?
Well, I'm actually thinking about that a lot with this new thing that I'm working on right now in the background. I sometimes I really I connect music to the artwork that I'm making sometimes. And this one that I'm doing right now, there's I can't even this person online, she did a cover of a song on YouTube, and I tried contacting her and I just can't get a hold of her, but she did a really haunting acoustic version of the Chain by like Fleetwood Mac, and I just feel like that connects with what I'm doing here so well. It's just, I don't want to speak on it too much because I feel like the music itself, that version of it, is just so like ghostly and haunting, and it's a great pairing with what I'm trying to say. So I'm already working on it.
What do you think happens when we die?
I really don't know, and I don't try to pretend that I know. I have like requests, like what could happen when I die, but I feel like I'm way infinitely too small to understand the concepts of death or afterlife. There's no way. There's absolutely no way that I could have an informed idea about what happens. What do I want? I would like to be reincarnated as like an overweight cat, not obese. Like, I don't want to be uncomfortable and unhealthy, but I want to be definitely spoiled, and I want to get treats whenever I want my treats, and that's it. That's what I want. in when I die. Just turn into one of my cats. I want to turn into one of my cats. My cats they were great people in a previous life, I guess. But yeah, I do kind of believe that there's a cosmic sort of energy out there, like, because I feel like sometimes you put an idea out and people can latch onto it, or sometimes I think something and I get an idea and then it happens in a weird way. Like, I feel like there's some sort of a telepathic cosmic energy that sort of envelops the entire world in a way. And again, speaking of, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just going by feeling. I'm not religious. I'm not spiritual. But I do think that could happen, is that you just sort of get sucked up into this sort of goo that surrounds the planet. Most likely what will happen is the lights are out and that's it. It's just like it was before you were born. But I want to be a fat cat. I want to be a fed cat, a well-fed cat. An orange one.
Well, I wanted to ask you too, what's your favorite memory and what triggers it to come up for you?
Favorite memory?
Your favorite memory.
My goodness. That's a great question. Oh man, my favorite memory. There are times when I was traveling that are in my mind only and locked in time and no one else can access them, and the ones that just pop up surprisingly, like those are my favorite memories. So when I'm just thinking about something and it triggers back to some time I was completely alone on a mountain, like abroad, those surprise memories are my favorite ones. The ones that just sort of suck you back and take you somewhere completely different, to a completely different life that I had. I think those are I don't have a specific one, just the ones that, I mean, like, I feel like that's what life is. It's just sort of collecting all these little moments, and when you're old, you can just sit in a chair and just cycle through them one by one. I think it would be a shame to pick one.
Do you like books or movies? What's your favorite? And what's your favorite movie and why?
Okay. This is an easy one. The Room by Tommy Wiseau is my favorite movie. This movie, I don't really know how to describe it, but those who know. It's kind of like, there was a movie made about this movie, actually. I can't remember the name of that movie, but it has James Franco in it. So The Room is, I love bad movies. I love bad movies, or old movies. And this is not really an old movie, but this man, Tommy Wiseau, made this movie called The Room, which I think he wrote, directed, and stars in. And Tommy Wiseau is kind of a really interesting person. Some people think he may be like from another planet, pretending to be human, and I kind of believe it. The plot, the acting, the rewatchability of this movie is like, Sean, you should make some time on your schedule to sit down and watch The Room. It's so entertaining. It's bad, yeah, but it's phenomenal, and it's my favorite movie for sure. Yeah, the second one I think would be The Fall. Now this would be like a movie that more people would actually like. It's a gorgeous movie. It stars Lee Pace, and it's a guy who is injured, I think like 100 years ago, and he's in a hospital and he's recounting a story. He's like making up a story with a little girl who I believe is sick, and so he's just kind of keeping her entertained. And the movie is this story, this beautiful story, and I think it's directed by Tarsem Singh, and he also made The Cell. But The Fall is probably a movie that I would think most people would prefer to see. But The Room is my personal favorite.
Well, I'm going to check them both out because I haven't seen either one. Do you have a favorite song or a favorite band?
Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, probably my favorite band. Favorite song, this changes all the time. I think one that I really like is called Cover Your Tracks by Young Galaxy. And they're a Montreal band. And I don't know, I heard it 20 something years ago, and that one connected with me. There is one that I like right now that's really fun. I believe I don't know if I can find it right away. I think I'll just answer that my song of the day is Ring My Bell, or Ring Your Bell, that disco song.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah.
I forget who does it.
Listened to it this morning. Pretty good.
Do you listen to music while you work, or do you prefer it to be quiet?
I'm either doing three things. No, it's never quiet. My God, I can't be alone with my thoughts. I need other things to distract me. So it's either podcasts that are just. I'm trying not to do that anymore because it's just dooming all the time. I don't want to hear about like how terrible things are. I know things are terrible, so I'm trying to replace that with music, which I have a speaker in the studio. Or lately, I've just been watching shows from the 80s. It's better if it's a show that I've never heard of before. So it's just sort of this nostalgic, like early 80s. I don't know, just I want to get an old TV and put it in the studio too, so I can hook up these old. I just want to have something on in the background that's not connected to this time period, not connected to nothing. Just something I can like have going on. Let my mind, trail away on that. So, but nostalgic and comforting is a healthy place for my creativity, I think.
It's a good place to be right now. Thanks for tuning in to Talking Out Your Glass. Many thanks to our sponsors, Sunshine Glassworks, the American Glass Guild, Glass Accessories International, Ed Hoy's International, the Stained Glass Association of America, and Yakagani Glass. To find out more about this podcast, visit talkingoutyourglass.com, where you'll find all 11 seasons of the show, artist images, and more. Stay tuned for more great episodes, including Italian maestro Davide Salvadore and studio glass pioneers Joey Kirkpatrick and Flora Mace. To support the continued documentation of glass and glass artists, visit talkingoutyourglass.com and click on Donate. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow on Instagram and Facebook. Until next time, stay glassy.